At any point in your life, you can make the decision to reinvent yourself. It doesn't need to be because of a drastic life change or a traumatic experience. It could just be the fact that you want to do everything you can to become a better version of yourself. Now, the great thing is that you can make changes to adapt and evolve into being the higher self and the person that you want to become. Your life can do a 180. Mine did almost 6 years ago. Everything changed. I went from being on antidepressants, on an anxiety medication. I was feeling lost. I was in a bad crowd. I was distancing myself from my family. And it was a very dark time for me. However, there was a day where everything changed. And for me, it was the fact that God had saved me and pulled me out of the darkness. But over the years, it has been a journey. It has been long, it has been bumpy, and there's been some hurdles along the way. But over the last couple of years, I've had a constant mission on how I can become the highest and best version of myself in all areas of my life in order to fulfill the potential that I have and the calling that God has placed on my life. So whether you are looking for a life glow up or you're looking for a full 180 turn like mine did, then this is going to be an episode that you're going to want to watch. If this is the first time that you are seeing my face or hearing my voice, then hello, my name is Carys. I am a real estate broker. I'm a content creator and entrepreneur living in the sunny South Florida. And this is the first episode of Highest and Best, where we focus on elevating your life and unlocking your full potential. Now, the reason why episode 1 is how to reinvent yourself is because that is where the story began 6 years ago, was reinvention. Now, over the last couple of years, I've leaned heavily into self-development, and I felt a calling placed on my life in helping others to do the same thing. So whether you are at rock bottom and you're looking for a light and a hand to help you up, or maybe you're just looking for ways to bring your life to the next level, then I hope the Highest and Best can be a tool and resource for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Highest and Best. Let's dive into how to reinvent yourself. Now, when I say that my life did a 180, back 6 years ago, I was at rock bottom in every area of my life: health, fitness, relationships, friendships, family, lifestyle, everything, spiritual, everything was at a zero and I felt completely lost. And everything has changed over the last few years. And now when I look at my life, I am so proud of everything I've been through and where I have come from and how far I have came. Oh gosh, I get emotional over that. Ooh. Because I was at a crossroads in my life and it was going to go one way or the other. And I genuinely don't know if I would be here today if I hadn't have walked into church that day in December in 2018. And that testimonial is for another day if people do want to hear that. But for now, we're focusing on the process and the journey, and the reinvention was incredible. And so, like I said, whether you're someone who needs that full 180 or you're just looking for ways to take yourself to the next level, I hope that this can be a guide for you to begin to make that progress in your life. So the first thing that I want to talk about is making the decision. And this is something that has to be the first step, because we can ponder over the decision for months, for years. And until we stop and realize that we are made for more in our lives, then we will continue to sleepwalk through the days and just waste our life away. That is exactly where I was. And until I stopped and made that decision and committed to it, it could have lasted forever. So you need to make the decision, but not only that, you need to commit to it, which is one of the hardest things, is to actually follow through on that decision. Now, in order for you to actually commit and follow through, you need to adjust your environment. Now, it could be a certain situation that you're in. It could be that maybe you're just looking to elevate in your career and maybe you need to adjust the environment of your office. It could be something small, it could be something big, but your environment impacts who you are and what you're doing. But you need to adjust your environment in order to support the change that you are trying to make in your life. So if you are looking to reinvent yourself, make the decision, commit to it. You're going to follow through, and to do that, you're going to look and see what is around you and how you can adjust it to support this decision. One thing that I did that helped me with making the commitment and following through is I typed a note to myself. You can handwrite it, or I used a notes app on my phone, but I typed saying goodbye to the old me. And I committed to myself that I was going to make this change and I was going to reinvent myself into this new person that I know that I could be. So if that is something that you feel like would help you, I recommend it. Take the time to do that. Now, once you've made the decision, the next step is resetting and raising your standards. Whether you know it or not, you have standards for your life, and it's time to start being intentional about them. These can be standards that you hold yourself to. These could be standards that you allow other people to impact you and to treat you. Or it could just be the standards for regular things throughout your life. One of the things that you need to do is decide who is able to have access to you. Now, during my reinvention process, I actually cut out most of the people that were in my life. They were not a good influence, and I knew that. And sometimes, it's hard. It's hard when you've been friends with people or close to people for years, and, having to cut people off is tricky. But if you know that they are not being a good influence on you, you might need to cut them out of your life. You can try and make an impact on them, try and help them do better. But if they are pulling you down into a state and a place that you shouldn't and don't want to be in, then you need to remove yourself and distance yourself from that. Your main things are protecting your time, protecting your energy, and protecting your peace. And your time is the most important asset that you have. So decide who is able to have access to you, who is able to spend the time with you, and make sure that the standards that you set for yourself are high. Set boundaries where you need to. Decide who is able to have access to you. And remember, you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So look around, do an audit, hear the conversations, and be intentional about where that time is being spent. So you've made the decision, you've reset your standards, and now it's time to redefine your new life. Now, this is where you can break down exactly what the highest and best version of you looks like. You're going to break this down into detail. I'm talking health, fitness, career, business, relationships, mindset, friendships, hobbies, all of those topics. Break down fully what the highest and best version of you does, looks like, is interested in all of these categories. Now, you can write this down with pen and paper, or you can type it again in the notes app on your phone. I remember writing mine on my phone years and years ago, and it's crazy because I am who I wrote about that day. The version of me now has come so far, and for you to be able to write all of that down, and when you're able to break it into detail, you can constantly look at it and say, I know I can be that person one day. What can I do today to help bridge the gap to becoming that person? You have to have a clear vision on who it is that they are. And so you know what steps you need to take in order for you to reinvent yourself into this highest version of you. So now that you've made the decision, reset your standards, you've got a clear vision on who it is that you want to become, your next step is to fall in love with the process. Now, there's a few different ways that you can do this. I'm going to help you with some of the things that have really made a difference with loving the journey for me. And the main answer to that is becoming addicted to bettering yourself. You want to fall in love with self-development. And there's a few different things that I did that made a big impact on that. But now this process, this journey, your goal is to close the gap. It's closing the gap from where you are now to your highest and best self. One of the things that helped me drastically was learning about habit stacking. Now, this is from the book Atomic Habits, and it's basically where you're trying to implement new habits in your life and basically stack them onto a habit that you already have. So for example, instead of just drinking your coffee and being on your phone in the morning, maybe you want to start reading. Now, instead of just trying to implement reading into your schedule, you start to read while you're drinking your coffee. So you're stacking the habits together, and it's more likely that you're going to follow through with adding that habit in. Now, speaking of habits, that is one of the biggest changes that I have made over my self-development process, is becoming a routine, schedule everything planner person. What is crazy, and people would not believe me if they know me, I never used to be organized. I never used to be a scheduler, a planner, and now I say it's a blessing and a curse because I do it to a fault sometimes. But learning how to master my schedule, how to hack productivity, how to plan things and schedule things, it made a drastic impact on me being able to do so much with so little time. Now, if you want to learn things like how to hack your schedule, building a routine, and all the other points that I'm about to make, then make sure you follow, subscribe, stick around, because I'll be going deeper in future episodes. The next thing I did to fall in love with the process of reinvention was adjusting my self-talk. Now, your self-talk is so crucial, and there's power of life and death in the tongue. And when I think about how I used to talk to myself, I was speaking death all over myself, and it brings you into such a negative state just by the thoughts that you are thinking in your own head. And so when you think about what you think about, take audit on that and see, are there certain things that are triggering you? For a lot of people, it's social media. It's the comparison. Comparison is a thief of joy. We know this. And so a trigger for them is going and comparing themselves, looking at other people's pictures and videos, and then that starts the cycle of the negative self-talk. So audit yourself right now over the next few days and see where you are speaking to yourself in certain ways. Is it when you try on clothes in the mirror? Is it when you go to the gym? Is it, doing certain things for your business? And see where those negative thoughts creep in about yourself, and then stop yourself, say, I don't accept this, and then figure out how you can improve that certain aspect and speak life into yourself, speak positivity into yourself. And in turn, you will also see your confidence go up, which is the next point. Now, speaking of confidence, building this up is going to help you enjoy the process a lot more, because when you believe in yourself that you can do it and you have confidence in yourself, you will push yourself in ways that you didn't even think that you could. One of the things that I love that Ed Milet speaks about is he believes that confidence is built by keeping promises to yourself. So when you think about the promises, the decisions, the choices that you make, and you follow through on them, that is how you then in turn you build up your own self-confidence. One of the switches that I made in my life was becoming a morning person. Now, I used to get up at 10, 11 o'clock and go to sleep at 1, 2 a.m. And that was just normal. And then I realized that you could train yourself into becoming a morning person. And that is what I did. I took small steps, and that is my new schedule, because in the morning time, before the world is awake, before the chaos comes, before people need my attention, I have multiple hours in the morning that I can focus on me. I read my Bible, I go for a long walk with Faith, my dog, I work out, I read a book, I have my protein shake, I write my goals down, and each morning it's for me. And before I give my time, energy, and peace to anybody else, I'm getting right with me first. So just know that if you are someone who wants to start waking up earlier, it is a skill. It can be learned. Take it in small steps. Don't go from 8 o'clock in the morning today into trying to wake up at 5 tomorrow. Take it in small chunks. It's a journey. It's a process, and build your way there. But personally, that one thing changed my life drastically. The last thing I'm going to mention in this section is to limit your mindless scrolling. Now, social media can be an incredible tool to use for learning, for your business, for building your personal brand, but it can also be your worst enemy. It can also be what takes your time, energy, and peace, but can also cause you to spiral into negative self-talk, comparison, feeling terrible, feeling numb, zombie-like when you're just constantly scrolling through social media, looking at all the highlight reels from everybody else. So something that I did is I gave myself a rule. I'm not allowed to go onto TikTok because that was my vice until after either 12 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, depending on when I had to post my first video. It does not get opened until then. That's why the people who are close to me, they know if they send me a TikTok video to watch, I can't watch it till the afternoon. It stops the mindless scrolling throughout the day where, you're walking to the kitchen and you quickly get on TikTok, or, you get sucked into, I'll just take a little break from work, and then you get stuck down the rabbit hole of TikTok videos for an hour. Consuming mindless content can be detrimental. So be aware of the time that you're spending on those platforms. Now, for the last step of your journey, you've made the decision, you've reset your standards, you've envisioned your dream life, you've started implementing ways to fall in love with the process. Now it's just a part of going through the journey. So I want to share a few things that I did that helped me have my overall life glow up. First thing is that I learned to eat clean and not just healthy. Now, unfortunately, nowadays, a lot of the food that we eat has a lot of fillers, additives, and it's processed. Now, that will impact your body in ways that you cannot see. So a switch that I've been making is basically focusing more on whole foods and limiting anything that is processed. I don't eat any sort of candy or sugar anymore because that was my weakness. And I focus more on the ingredients of the food and not just, oh, it's healthy, or oh, it's low calorie, or oh, it's no sugar. Next thing, I also start implementing supplements. Now in the mornings after my workout, I have a protein shake with my organic protein, L-glutamine, which is really good for your gut health. If you are someone who feels bloated a lot, 10 out of 10 recommend L-glutamine, and also collagen powder as well. Then I also started taking beef liver supplements. Sounds gross, is kind of gross, but they made a huge impact on my skin. I noticed it, and I notice it if I ever skip a few days, my skin is impacted. Now, if you want me to go deeper into health, fitness, wellness, any of that, then let me know, because I can go into more detail in future episodes. Because if you didn't already know, my background is actually in health and fitness. Speaking of fitness, one of the other big changes I made was going to the gym. It is one of my favorite parts of the day, is going and exercising. Now, back when I was in my reinvention beginning stages, I was heavy on weightlifting. Heavy, like bodybuilder style weightlifting. For me, I think a lot of it was relieving anger and stress, but the difference that it made on my body, I realized how much of a difference it can make when you start to put muscle onto your body. I weighed about 20 pounds heavier, but my body was so much smaller. Now, I don't do as intense as that kind of workouts anymore. I weight train 4 days a week. I do cardio twice a week, and I do Pilates on a Saturday morning. Now I just started doing Pilates a couple of months ago, but I do it once a week, and it is crazy because you think you're strong lifting weights and then you do Pilates and it makes you feel so weak. But what was great is that it used stability muscles that you don't always use, and it also helped me feel more feminine, and I liked that. It's a nice addition to my workout routine. But the great thing is that there's so many different ways that you can exercise, and it's just important to figure out what you actually enjoy. You might enjoy swimming, and that is your number one thing that you want to do for exercise, and that is great. For you, it may be biking, it may be karate. It is just something that you can do ideally every day to move your body and enable yourself in your fitness column to push yourself into being better. A couple of other things that I did over the last few years to reinvent myself is I wanted to have a hobby. And so I used to golf as a kid and kind of here and there throughout my life. And so I picked golfing back up, and it is something that I find that is great because I can go by myself sometimes in the morning, or I can use it as a social thing. I can use it to meet clients. I get to go golfing with friends. And so it's a great activity that you can do throughout your life. And so I picked that up. I also plan on starting tennis soon. I played tennis as a kid, probably not in 15 years. And so that's going to be interesting whenever I decide to pick up a tennis racket, but I plan to do that soon. But whether you're someone who wants to do a physical activity, whether you want to do knitting, whether you want to do biking, hiking, you could do crafts, you could play a musical instrument, finding something to do that is enjoyable for you, that is not work, but also not looking at a screen all the time. A couple of years ago, I also decided to learn Spanish. My family live in Spain. My mom, dad, sister, brother-in-law, and my nephews are all in Spain. And so I am in the process of learning how to speak Spanish. That is something that I'm doing to try and push myself to be better. So whether it's something new that you can learn, it's a skill, it's a hobby, think about how you can implement something into your life that is going to push you to be that better version. What is it that they're doing? Speaking of learning, something that I started doing was trading music for podcasts. I'm a big learner. I love to learn about new things. And so instead of listening to music when I was getting ready, when I'm in the car driving somewhere, when I'm doing cardio, I instead put on a podcast or an educational YouTube video. So instead of just passing the time with some music playing in the background, I always find spots in my day that I'm able to learn something. I could be cooking at night and I'll have a podcast on instead of listening to music. And so that is something that you can do where it's just filling in ways that you can learn and grow in different things. The last things I've been doing a little bit more recently, I guess, is actually upgrading my style and my closet, because I have accumulated a lot of clothes over the last few years because I didn't really know my style. I didn't really know what looked good in me, what colors I liked. And so I was kind of always someone who just went with what was in the stores and what was trending at that time. And so it caused me to just accumulate a lot. And so something that I've spent, I would say probably over the last 6 months, is realizing what looks good on me, what looks good on my body shape, what colors I like. And I know now that I am a pants wearer. I do not like shorts and dresses as much. And I'm a neutrals person. And so most likely I'm going to be wearing a smaller top, and I like long pants, ideally wide leg, I find them comfier, and I'm likely going to be in neutrals. And so understanding that has helped me build more of a capsule wardrobe. So it's been a lot easier for me to style certain pieces together and certain outfits together where I feel confident with what I'm wearing, because I know that those things pair well and they look good together. So you may need to spend some time, do a closet refresh, for whatever the new highest version of you, your reinvented you, what they look like, what they wear, and style accordingly. And the last thing that I want to leave you with is to focus on your communication. Now, a lot of that comes from confidence, it comes from competence, and building up your communication, it comes in many ways. Now, if you didn't already know, communication is only 7% of the words that you actually say, and it's more so your body language and your tone of voice. And that is something that I've been focusing more on, is how to communicate better, focusing on building up emotional intelligence. And I'm going to be diving more into these different things in future episodes, but working on communication, how to connect with people on a deeper level, that has built up my network. It's built up my relationships in many different ways. So in your overall glow up process, that is something that I would recommend doing. There are so many different tools and resources online, and I'll be providing a lot that's helped me as well. Overall, reinventing yourself, making the decision, and actually following through is the best decision that you ever make. Whether it is a small glow up that you want to have, or whether it is a full 180 life change, I hope that some of these things have helped you and will be able to be a tool and a guide for you as you begin to elevate your life and unlock your true potential. I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Highest and Best. If you did, please share it with someone who you feel like this would be helpful for. I am here to fulfill what I believe that God has placed for me to do, and I hope that it can impact some people, as this is something that I wish that I had access to when I was on the journey. Thank you for watching or listening, and I will see you in the next one.